It is without question why Al Gore invented the internet. It's the fifth Mascot, the definitive web show about your Cincinnati Reds, and available only on WCPO.com with the now seemingly mythical P.J. O'Keefe. I'm Ken Brew. P.J., here we are at the end of August in the midst of what has turned out to be an incredible playoff race in the National League Central Division, with my Cincinnati Reds within 10 games of first place, within striking distance of winning the National League Central Division. I'm so fired up, they're going to have to douse water on me. I might take that bucket challenge.
The ice bucket challenge for Cincinnati Reds
I
awareness,
might.
a bullpen awareness, I think would probably be the better word for it. Yeah, incredible is hardly the word.
It's the best.
But nice try. That's very enthusiastic. You notice how this flipped?
What?
Earlier in the year,
yeah, I know,
you were the angry one who said no, and now he's the optimistic one.
All we need is one bat.
Yeah.
We need one, and a guy obviously that can swing it, but we need one bat.
I think we need 8 bats. Well, maybe 6. I think we need 6 bats.
And the problem is they can't get their bats from the Louisville bats because there's nobody down there. You might be able to play for that team.
I've hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Help me here with something. How does a guy like Drew Stubbs, who, I mean, he every day here was like his first day in long pants, how does he do that to them last week in Colorado? Tell me how does the baseball karma allow that to happen?
This is like the hot fudge on the Sunday of a rough year, that this guy puts a ball to not just, down the line and right or left, but I mean kills a ball to end that game on Sunday. Drew Stubbs, the new Reds killer. What? I don't know how.
I know how.
Someone help me.
I know how.
How? Tell us,
J.J.
Ken.
Hoover.
Oh, okay.
Why is that man still? You know what? I said this the other night. If the fact that J.J. Hoover and Logan Ondrusek, for that matter, the fact that they're still on this Major League roster is more of a commentary on the organization than it is on either one of those two guys.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
I don't want to get ahead of anything.
As much as I hate having to talk about Hoover, we will talk about him. Let's recap a little bit. Drew Stubbs has a 300 average against the Reds. A 300 average against the Reds this year. Yeah. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And you know what? Things were going downhill before the Stubbs home run.
Right.
So it's not exclusive to this new Reds killer who he must have celebrated harder that night than any night in his adult or young adult life.
By the way, have you ever seen a Rumpke dump truck go into an abyss?
No.
Because that's what this season is.
Wow.
It's like they've taken the wheel of this thing with all garbage in the back and have gone right over a cliff.
Yeah, and Stubbs, this is uncharacteristic
Very much.
Of a guy who's hit 246 his whole life. The only time he hit higher than 230 with the Reds was in his rookie year, and he didn't even play all that many games. And he's purely a home hitter, always has been. But man, just what a slap in the face, Drew Stubbs.
You know what started all of that? You got a guy. I sound like Tony Soprano.
You got a guy.
You got a guy.
You got a guy.
That allegedly is the most feared closer in baseball.
Right.
And this guy walks 4 straight. Am I right?
Yep, 4 straight. 4 in a row.
Okay, so
no questions.
Number one, he couldn't find the plate with a compass and a map and a picture of Cy Young, okay?
Or a smartphone.
Second thing is he's walking so many people so quickly, you can't get anybody warmed up in time in the bullpen.
Right.
He was horrible.
He was bad.
That's an anomaly for Chapman. You give him one every so often, but you can't afford anomalies in a bullpen that sucks canal water like this team does.
Yeah, and I don't know, at what point Brian Price stopped coaching the pitchers, but
after his third base coach stopped coaching base runners.
You know, that explains it. No, but I mean, Jeff Pico came out there and asked him, and through Brian Pena, he said, "Are you okay?" He was grimacing, and oh man, that thin air, he just couldn't catch his breath, and he said, "Oh no, I'm fine. Yeah, let's keep going." At some point, a coach has got to know that a guy isn't in the right shape, and you don't get to the 4th walk to figure that out. Whether your guy's warmed up or not, I would gladly throw a Sam LeCure into the game with only the warm-up pitches at the mound because of an injury.
Basically,
because of an injury.
That's what
Never mind warming up.
That's what LeCure did last night.
Right.
They brought him in like somebody, Contreras or something, left with a hangnail. He came in.
Yeah.
He was all right.
That's all you need. Just at some point.
Brian Price was like you said. I thought he was a pitching coach.
I don't know when he stopped. I mean, maybe he's got some paperwork he needs to fill out, but it's certainly a negative effect on the bullpen.
Hope it's an exit visa.
So Hoover does. He sucks dirt. He really does.
You know, here's the thing about J.J. Hoover. He's a nice guy. He really is.
Sure. No
And it's not like they gave up the farm to get this guy. It was rotten pears for rotten apples when they sent Francisco to Atlanta. And they got this guy back. Everybody, you know, all the people in the front office are gushing over him. He's got great stuff. He's got this stuff. This guy's got no confidence. And I don't care how great your stuff is. If you can't believe in what you're doing, if you don't understand that you have what it takes to win, and this guy doesn't. You can see it every time they put the camera on him. He's of no value to this organization.
And there was a time where Hoover looked like the next Jonathan Broxton. There were 25 or 30 starts last year where he gave up 2 or 3 runs. He struck out a guy a game, and there was some promise there. But I think you're onto something with the mental aspect of that game. I mean, he's pitched in more games than any Reds pitcher, with the exception of Sam LeCure. How does that happen? Because, oh, by the way, he has the highest ERA of any consistent Reds pitcher on this roster.
I think his ERA with bases loaded, seriously, it's like 13.
It's pressure. You're right. It's pressure situation.
Herbert Hoover could do a better job than this guy. Have you seen Herbert Hoover lately?
Not lately.
It's
no.
not a pretty sight.
No, a little skinny,
a little skinny,
slimmed down.
little
you
picked
think?
over.
Yeah, I believe
Herbert
it.
Hoover could do. I'm fairly convinced Herbert Hoover could do a better job than J.J. Hoover at this point.
Yeah, and again, more hot fudge on the Sunday.
I love hot fudge.
Hit by a pitch.
You know, my middle name in high school was Hot Fudge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
Now, where did that come from?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I was smoking when I was in high school.
And Hot Fudge it was.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact of the matter, he's terrible. We know and to kick him at this point, I don't think it's of any value, and it speaks more of where Jocketty has his organization.
The legacy of this season will be, to boil it down, will be injuries. And I don't mean, it's been brought up so many times that I am beating the dead Hoover. But
there's help.
But there is help.
There's help.
There is help.
Before you beat your dead Hoover one more time,
before I beat my dead
Brandon
Hoover.
Phillips is back.
He is back. But
yeah, as what?
It's good to see him at second base.
Wonderful.
I feel much more confident in ground balls.
No, I've forgotten what he looked like.
I know, right? But is it too late?
Yeah, it's too late. I mean, he wasn't hitting the ball before he got hurt. Now he comes back. I mean, they at least had a pulse before he left, but that number's a little, inflated because they had Votto, and even though Votto wasn't Votto, he was getting on base. And I mean, there were a lot of things going on before he got hurt, and of course they had that big run right before the All-Star break and all that. But I like Brandon. I think he brings a lot to the table, but I don't think you look at him and say, wow, that's going to be a difference. All due respect, I think if you're the Cardinals, you're thinking, man, we can't wait till Molina gets back. I don't think it's the same effect on this team.
Yeah, and if anything, Brandon gives you just a little bit of swagger back, and that's what you can hope that carries the team forward a little bit. And that's probably what a lot of those numbers spoke to, is the swagger of the team. Because without someone like Brandon and actively in the game and in the clubhouse, you lose that little bit of flair. Now, he can definitely support the team at the plate. He's still got one of the highest averages before the injury.
Yes.
What remains to be seen is it was a wrist injury.
Right. And
you have to use both wrists when you're at the plate.
And unlike J.J. Hoover, whom Herbert Hoover is better than, we can say with great sincerity and authority that Michelle Phillips is not better than Brandon Phillips.
I think you are spot on.
Now, Wilson Phillips is a different deal.
Well,
but Michelle Phillips, no.
Yes, perfect analogy. So we'll see with Brandon. I'm just glad that some of those guys, the Skip Schumachers of the world and others, won't be consistently in the lineup because they weren't. An injured Phillips is better than a Ramon Santiago.
What the heck? What was Santiago doing the other night on that double play ball? He runs to third, and then the guy slides into his leg and he throws it halfway to Poughkeepsie? What was that all about?
I'd like to say that he just hasn't been in the game that much. But
they're not that
he's
good.
Been in the game a lot.
I mean, honestly, there's a reason why backup players are backup players. And why don't we get into Bruce playing right field?
And on the note of backup players, we know this team isn't built for that. And again, that's why the legacy of the season will be injuries. That's why Walt Jocketty's legacy on this team is going to be big contracts for a few guys rather than dispersing amongst the many. And pitching in particular, while the 5 that we had at the beginning of this year, including Cingrani to make it 6, were projected to be great. As soon as you throw those injuries into the equation,
well,
you
then
got
the
guys.
wheels come flying off.
You got guys like David Holmberg,
Yeah, and you got to go out. You got to make a trade with Chicago, the White Sox, to get a AAA pitcher just in case you needed an emergency start, which you did.
Which we did, and as soon as you get one doubleheader because of a water main break, which is totally normal in the NBA.
It happens all the time. Dylan Axelrod. I thought this guy was the lead guitarist for Judas Priest.
Oh.
I did.
Yeah,
I didn't know
too.
who this guy was. I said they got Dylan Axelrod. I said, who knew? I thought it was the guy with all the tats.
Right.
You know, but apparently not. It's a different Dylan Axelrod.
Yeah, and he played well, right? I mean,
they played big in the 80s.
Him.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
well, his notes.
Yeah,
yes,
no, he pitched okay.
No,
yeah.
he pitched good. I mean, he's two earned runs, 6 innings. I mean, I take that with the way that this season has gone. What I'm scratching my head is now that we do have the lead guitarist, we send him right back down for the now off the DL Logan
because of the broken water main break.
Right.
If that doesn't happen, he can pitch on normal rest.
But wouldn't you put
now
him?
we got David Holmberg.
Wouldn't you rather put him in the bullpen? And even if he's on a couple of days rest, the way that those guys lined up on Sunday on game 1 and just fell like dominoes, and then same thing in game 2. The Reds bullpen had a combined 16 ERA or something outrageous just on Sunday.
I would rather see him doing anything. Selling shoes, modeling clothes, picking up, trash. I would rather see him do anything than see J.J. Hoover or Logan Ondrusek anywhere near Great American Ballpark. Yes, I would put him in the bullpen. I just keep him around. I mean, honestly, with Hoover and Ondrusek, you want to scream, put the glove on the other hand and try it left-handed. Yeah. This guy, if he goes out on 3 days rest, if he only gives you 3 or 4 innings.
Fine.
Maybe then you can get to LeCure. Maybe then you can get to Broxton. Maybe then you can get to Chapman.
And at what point is Jonathan Broxton or Aroldis Chapman going to get not just 2 innings, not just 5 outs, but 4 outs? When are those guys going to pitch more than the 8th and the 9th? I'm sorry, they're good enough. They can last through this, with the exception of the sore shoulder for Aroldis. Why not, when you know you're in such desperation for a bullpen pitcher, some type of setup guy, why not go 2 innings each?
Who can go more than one? The only guy in that bullpen that can go more than one is LeCure.
But they haven't tested. They've never tested Broxton.
And this Jumbo guy, guy, that looks like the Mack truck.
Every inning is an act of God that he hasn't given up more than a run.
Why do you think they call him Jumbo?
I'm going to go ahead and say because of his mother. I think she named him Jumbo.
You think?
Yeah,
you think when they came to Mrs. Diaz in the hospital,
think
wherever he was born, Mrs. Diaz, what would you like to call your son? I'll call him Jumbo.
Hey, it's a compliment.
Thank God
in some
it wasn't
countries.
a girl.
Well, that's true. That would have been unfortunate. We're missing a key part and have been most of the year, Mr. Joey Votto.
Yeah.
And it's an unavoidable fact this year. He's just not in the lineup, and you can point fingers all you want, but he's just been hurt.
God.
But we want to know where he is.
Like Waldo.
We've been talking about his hamstrung, quad strung, whatever cord has been strung for a long time. So where is he? You know who we sent out to find him?
I'm sure it wasn't Walt Jocketty.
No, it wasn't Walt.
Oh, Mr. Satin.
Our Mr. Satin went looking for Joey Votto. Let's see what he found.
Hey, what's happening? This is Mr. Satin for the 5th Mascot. We're down here at the ballpark, and everyone's been asking, even Brandon Phillips, what is Joey Votto doing? Joey Votto, what's his schedule looking like? What is he doing?
I think he needs to stop crying, and get off the bench and start hitting some balls.
What is he doing right now? What's his schedule looking like?
Maybe like eating breakfast, just getting up.
Maybe a little breakfast, maybe some eggs. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe some eggs. Chorizo, maybe.
Ooh, I like chorizo. Yeah. It's
just a photo
It's
bomb.
crazy. Let me ask you, what do you think Joey Votto is doing right now?
Probably nursing his
Oh, ouch! What is Joey Votto doing right now?
Probably just being a hunk. My father always said, a hunk's got to do what a hunk's got to do. So, got to let him heal up. I mean, he's got a 10-year contract here. Let's not burn it in the first 3 years, everybody.
I think he's sitting around, rubbing his knee, hoping it gets better.
Like a genie lamp kind of thing?
Hopefully.
He probably sleeps about noon, gets up and has a light lunch, goes and probably takes a nap, and then wakes up, does a little bit of exercise.
Another nap.
And then he comes and watches the game and buddies up with the guys and goes back and takes a long nap.
It's a lot of napping for him then.
He's got to rest and got to recover from that leg injury.
That's true.
I'd say he's a man of leisure right now and just sitting on the couch watching the Reds, feet propped up, hopefully getting his quads right and ready to come back here in a few weeks and lead us to the pennant.
He needs to come forth and tell us what's going on. Just not knowing got everybody. I mean, you, me, everyone doesn't know what's going on.
You know, even Brandon Phillips the other day he didn't know.
Nope. And you got to figure that's teammate. You figure they would know all that stuff. But
I think he's working on a secret weapon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joey Votto. No one knows what's going on with Joey Votto. We haven't seen him. We just have no idea. I want to know if you can shed some light for us here at the Fifth Mascot on Joey Votto. What's his daily operation looks like?
Actually, my boyfriend is at home resting his leg.
Right.
He may be watching the game, but I'm going to go if he's playing on his Xbox.
What is going on with Joey Votto? Do you know his schedule? Can you shed some light on this?
Do I know his schedule?
Yeah, what's he doing?
I'm not his wife.
Is he still out?
See? No one knows.
The aforementioned Mr. Satin is back. Good to have you back here.
Good
Aloha. How's it
hunting.
going?
Good hunting.
We still can't find him. No one knows.
I saw him last Wednesday night at the tennis tournament.
Yes.
And they put him up on the screen in between like points. And they played Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And this guy looked so freaking mad.
I love
it. He was like that. But what was funny is I had 3 people sitting around me saying, "Who is that?"
Oh, no.
Hey, kid, you know, he's falling out with the kids. These kids don't know who he is.
Oh, like the John Stockton of the Dream Team. That's too bad.
I mean, in the history of distal quad injuries, has there ever been anything this long? I mean, I am of the opinion that they just told this dude, do not ever come back to us until you're 100%, because we're tired of only seeing you for 120 games every season.
You know, maybe they're working on a deal. They're just like, just don't come back. Hang out, play your Xbox. We're trying to ship you on that big sandwich we're talking about.
I don't think he's coming back at all. I mean, since his team is tanked, I don't think he's coming back.
I mean, unless they're building him a bionic leg that will steal 20 extra bases a season, there's just it goes way over anybody's heads. I don't know what the deal is. So I'm glad you found his girlfriend there.
Yeah.
She seemed very concerned about his well-being.
By the way, what's the deal with her? Every time you talk to her, she seems like she's been to the Holy Grail.
A few times.
Yeah, we're picking her up off the ground. You know, we're giving her something to lean on a little bit there.
Was that before or after the game? Because I think she's been quoted as having attended.
Yeah, that was before the game. So that was in between the doubleheader right there.
Oh, 3 times the Holy Grail.
Do you think we could get her in here for a subsequent show? She could be like the 6th mascot?
Ooh.
Just plop her right down here between us?
I mean,
can you arrange that, Mr. Satin, since you see her per down on a consistent
basis? Yeah, I know.
basis?
She's kind of down there. She's like the
she is like
she'll
little
give
barfly mom, maybe. I don't know.
She'll give us the insight on Votto. That we know.
That'd be good.
She seemed to know what he was doing.
We'll work on that. You know? We got some time.
As we do every week.
That's our problem.
Yeah. As we do every week, gentlemen, we'll take a break from dire reality.
Yes.
And take a look back. And this week has a very particular meaning in Reds fans' hearts, a very somber meaning in Reds fans' hearts. Our hometown boy, Mr. Charlie Hustle himself, Pete Rose, was banned from baseball coming up this Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
August 24th. That's 25 years ago. We've talked about Pete a lot on this show. Pete gets brought up in a variety of circles and conversations all the time. He's, of course, a hot-button figure.
Right.
But really, it starts to sink in that, wow, it's been 25 years that this guy has served for the things that he did.
Yeah, I remember covering that, and I found it to be bizarre. Obviously, that whole summer was just bizarre, tailing him. I had dinner. I'm not dropping any names, but I had dinner at Pete Rose's house in Florida 2 days before he had to fly up and meet with Bart Giamatti about this whole thing. And then it just dogged him. There were cameras everywhere. But what I don't understand what he's doing now, he's saying, I didn't understand it was a lifetime ban. I don't understand why my lawyers let me sign that. Well, his lawyer was his longtime friend, Reuben Katz. Katz had to know what was going on. Pete had to know what was going on. Maybe Pete knew what was going on. I just think they had the goods on this guy, and he was doing anything at that point to avoid a couple of things. And that is baseball's wrath forever, thinking he could go back in, and going to prison for income tax evasion, which was hanging over his head.
Yeah, and if you watch the press conference the day he was banned, I think it was about about an hour. That press conference about an hour after Giamatti bans him. Man, it was almost arrogant at that time too. He spoke with such conviction that, oh no, it's just going to be a year. Oh yeah, my daughter's birthday. Right after my daughter's birthday, I'll be back.
Yeah.
I don't think that he fully understood. And I don't think
I think
anybody.
he did.
I
It
don't
wasn't
think
a parking
anybody
ticket.
fully
I
understood.
think he knew
mean,
it was going to be more
really.
than I can't believe his lawyer wouldn't have told him, look, Pete, if you sign this, you're gone forever, but you have the right to reapply in a year. Well, that's like saying to you, okay, you know what, you've got a car and you're driving a car, but you only have it for a year, but at the end of the year, the lease company will let you try and keep it, but that doesn't mean that they're going to give it to you.
Yeah, and it's at a cost, a greater cost
Yeah.
too. That's kind of ridiculous. You feel bad for him, but man, there's got to be a way to get him back in somehow. But it's been so long that he's been, kind of back and forth on a few things that you want to trust him, but man, I want to see him back. I mean, I think all Cincinnati wants to see him. Don't get me wrong.
I'll say this. I think if Bart Giamatti had lived, he would be back in baseball in some way, shape, or form and eligible for the Hall of Fame. But I think Fay Vincent came on the heels of Bart Giamatti and was so adamant about Rose. And I think Fay Vincent believes that Pete Rose killed Bart Giamatti by the stress of the investigation.
Right.
And now you got Selig, who was a house man. I mean, let's face it. I mean, baseball's done very well financially by Bud Selig, but basically Bud has made some really bad decisions aesthetically along the way. I think Selig is just being loyal to Giamatti, and I think the guy that's following Selig is just in lockstep with Selig. I don't think Pete Rose gets into baseball again while he's alive.
Well, I mean, you can kind of see the stage being set a little bit. I mean,
hope you're right.
Pete's showed up more in the last year than he has arguably in the last 10 or so since 2004 when he actually came out with the book and tried to do that whole thing. And of course, that was probably put the nail in the coffin as far as whether he would be reinstated anytime soon. But the stage is being set a little bit. Cincinnati has the All-Star game next year. There was just a vote taken to change some of the rules surrounding the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So, and Selig has come out openly and said, I want this to be decided by the time I'm done. He didn't say in what form or fashion, but he has come out and said that he wants a decision. So there's a little glimmer of hope, I think,
I hope
for
you're right.
Pete.
Yeah.
And whether that means he should or should not be
That came
back into
dangerously
baseball.
close to
I'm
me.
sorry, watch your nose.
Holy
Watch your
crow.
nose. There's going to be a lot more on Pete on WCPO 9 on your side, on WCPO.com. We're going to be talking about him. We're going to be recounting the history of that banishment, coming up beginning, I think, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to have some coverage. So.
That's excellent.
It'll be good.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
And what was it? Tom Seaver
Yeah, curveball here.
pitched a no-hitter as a Red. How many years ago?
No.
It was this week, wasn't it?
I think it was actually today. Was that today? 37 years ago today.
37 years?
No, I'm sorry. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, that was a different one. This was.
I didn't think I'm that old.
No, well, I'm testing you. Yeah, this is a quiz.
It's a different one.
This is a quiz. Let's see. Tom Seaver. How old is Tom Seaver?
I would guess it would be 37 years ago today.
Oh. But
Sounds good to me.
No, okay.
That was a minute ago.
Wasn't it 1977?
That was his first appearance. Tom Seaver first appeared for the Reds.
What are you talking about?
I'm throwing you for a loop here, Ken. I'm
just
throwing you for a
testing you.
loop. It was a quiz. It was a Reds quiz.
Right.
37 years ago today, threw his first pitch at Shea Stadium. It was a 6-hitter.
Wow.
And struck out 11. And that, of course, Tom was a legacy member of the Cincinnati Reds team. You think Reds pitchers, Tom Seaver is one of the first to come to mind.
It is?
Is it?
Not for me, it
Not
isn't.
for you? Well, who are your Reds
He was here like
pitchers?
for 3 minutes.
Who are your Reds pitchers? Tom Seaver sticks out.
Top
to me
Reds
because he was
pitchers of
kind
all time? You're
No, I
gonna
didn't say top.
Mr. Perfect.
You said it's the first one that comes to mind.
One of
Tom
them.
Browning.
One of them.
Well,
yeah, Tom Browning.
Tom Browning would come to mind.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, I'll
I
give
think
him.
Jim O'Toole would come to mind. I think Ewell Blackwell would come to mind. I think Jim Maloney. I think Gary Nolan. I think Jack Billingham would come to mind long before
listen,
Tom Seaver.
The guy won
Jose
75 games.
Jose
for the
Rio.
Reds. Guy won 75
Jimmy
games
Haynes.
for the Reds. That's pretty good. He's in the Reds Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
There
he is.
There he is.
He will
There are your
never
numbers.
be confused with being a Cincinnati Red in anybody's mind except people that live here. I guarantee if you lined up 10 people in New York at Times Square and say, what team did Tom Seaver pitch
Maybe
for?
I'm just an East Coast guy, and I think of Seaver a little bit differently. I don't know.
I mean, he did well here.
Yeah, well, there's his career.
But
His career's
honestly,
good numbers.
That's pretty good right there.
I don't think he even embraces being a Cincinnati Red. Every time I don't see him back here for any Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Really?
No.
When's the last time you saw him at Cincinnati other than to broadcast a game?
Well, never.
I'm just saying. I think he was a good pitcher here, and he had moments of greatness. But The first pitcher that comes to mind?
One of
See,
the
we eat
first
breakfast
thing.
down at Tucker's every once in a while.
Have you had anything to eat?
No, I'm under the weather. Just like I'm sick of the Reds, I'm
Oh
actually
man,
physically sick.
it's been a harsh few weeks.
Oh, it's been horrible.
I mean,
it's been a
I think
bloodline.
you called it though. I mean, that whole going to the All-Star break, man, it felt so good. I'm glad I had my VHS taping all that those 2 weeks leading up. So now I can just watch that over and over again and just relive all those wonderful
Who needs DVR
excitements.
when you have VHS?
You know what Brian Price reminds me of right about now? Dick LeBeau.
Oh, no.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of the same kind of looks.
There's a lot of
LeBeau,
nastiness.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, wow, what's going on here?
I can't believe we're not seeing more signs at the games. Wondering who the next manager for the Reds is going to be.
Well, I'm just asking here. I don't know. I mean, I like the guy. He's got a long-term contract, 3 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you think he and Jocketty are back next year? Both? I don't.
One of them's gone.
Somebody, one of those two.
You know what though? The way that they're holding Joey back, and the way that they didn't make any drastic moves at the trade deadline, to me says they're playing for 2015. They're going to try one more time next year, and if in the first 3 months of the season there's no progress, then I think you see a shakeup to the equivalent of the Boston Red Sox this year.
If they try one more year with Zach Cozart at shortstop and left field by committee, you will see people going after 3 months.
Well, it's been a rough one. Well, what's coming up next, guys? We got the Bravos in town.
Right, 4 against Atlanta.
4 against Atlanta, who has been up and down this year.
Look who's pitching Sunday.
Doing real well.
Hey.
He's got 10 wins.
He's been on 10 teams since Cincinnati.
I know, but Farang's got 10 wins.
Yeah, he's having a surprising year.
And Simon's got, 4 starts that have lasted at least 10 minutes.
At least.
So that would be a hell of a matchup on Sunday.
Big Pasta's not doing too hot.
No, he's not. And of course, the aforementioned Holmberg.
Right.
Pitching Thursday evening.
Better it should be Mike Holmgren.
Is that going to be all? Yeah, I don't understand what that's going to be
I don't know
about.
that he'd be that good of a pitcher.
He's pitching against
Tehran.
Oh, I always thought it was a city in Iran.
Oh, well.
But it's great. It's fun. I mean, it's great to see the Braves here. It's great to see the Cubs here.
Cubs will be back, yeah.
But I'm telling you what, man, there's nothing worse in Cincinnati than having the Reds out of it in the middle of August. There really isn't. It's
a
horrible.
downer. It is. It's such a downer. I'm just going to beg to ask here. Wild card. We're about
No.
six back now.
No.
7.
I'm going to beg to ask.
Just had to throw it out there, you guys, before we left it.
You didn't smoke your breakfast this morning, did you?
No, well,
the crack pipe.
The breakfast
is,
came after the smoking.
Yeah. The crack pipe we held off this morning.
I think
maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
We can close with this. We can close with the curtain being called on this show.
What?
Yes, the curtain is being
Did
called
you know
on this
this?
show.
I'm a little
We're
sad.
done?
Sorry to break that to you
right
guys
now.
on the air.
Holy crow.
Just much like the curtain is being closed on the Reds season very quickly.
done?
We are done. We are shifting
curtains
focus.
going on here.
Cincinnati, as of right now, is a football town. Not to perpetuate. I've been optimistic all year about the Cincinnati Reds.
I still think they're going to win the division.
I'm
10 back, about 12 games left.
Got them right where we want them.
about 12 games. Yeah, it is. Do you realize the leaves are falling? The leaves are falling, and
If
this
they
game,
go
this team
26
is.
and 9.
Oh yeah, no big deal.
Whoa, I love that.
Yeah, no big deal.
Hey,
You can go 26-9, no problem.
We've seen it done before.
You know, the last team that went 26-9 in the last month and a half of the season was the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, let me tell you this.
2007.
They laughed at the president of White Star Lines when he said the Titanic couldn't sink. So there.
We just need the
And
one
now,
bat.
and now the Titanic is doing the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh man, you're right.
But what do we got? We got.
We're shifting. We're not going away. We're not going away. We're a football team now.
Now we are.
We're going to pivot.
That's what we are.
Your Cincinnati Bengals.
What's the name of this show?
We don't know. We need a name. Help
Look at
us
that.
name
It's
the show.
Whatchamacallit question mark?
Does it need
Question
that many
mark.
letters?
It needs, apparently, it's like Wheel of
Feels like-
Fortune. All
feel
right.
like
That looks like somebody's
let's
going
see.
to prison right there.
Vontae's hits
Yeah.
with his. Yeah, I got nothing. I'm
The
sorry.
Perfect Bengals Show.
Hey.
Ooh, the
No, we just have to
the
get
perfect
old.
image.
The perfect image.
Hit them where it
The
hurts.
perfect storm. The perfect tiger. I like
Perfect.
perfect.
Right.
Who just got signed for a
7.6.
couple of million.
Yeah.
So we got this new show, and it's debuting the week of September the 8th, right?
That sounds right. That'll be your Bengals' first week, and we need a title. So tweet at us for now.
Yes.
Hashtag Fifth Mascot, just like you would for the show here.
Stars and Stripes.
Black and orange.
You just
black and
naming
orange.
them.
I'm
We're
just yelling
naming them.
things
Orange,
out.
black,
Oh, that's fine.
black, orange.
I do like that. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Stars. Are they really stars? We'll find out.
Well, we'll see here pretty quick.
That's right. We will find
All
out.
right, so we need a name for that, and you can tweet us at hashtag Fifth Mascot, right?
Please do.
And get us a title
Please
for this
do.
thing.
Yeah, we
Because
need
I'm
it.
fired up about that now.
I'm excited.
The
Satin jackets we've been working on. We got a tailor. We've got
Right.
some Mr. Satin. Not to be confused with the Ricky Henderson, but the Mr. Satin.
Right.
We'll have some new ditties. We've been
Good.
working
Ooh,
on
new
that.
getup.
So,
Good.
oh yeah, we
We'll
got to
look
get
forward to
ready for the crazy fans down there.
Because you smell at this point. I'm
Right.
telling you. You haven't washed those clothes once.
And then, along about the end of October, we'll cancel that show and start the Fifth Mascot for
Yes,
baseball
that's
back up
right.
again. 'Cause that's the
Well,
way it
That
works
sounds
in
great.
the town.
ready.
Or even maybe the
That's
Cincinnati
right.
Cyclones. We'll start a Cyclones show.
All right.
Hockey
It's been
sticks.
fun.
It has been. These are all available for downloading, as this football show will be beginning the week
Yes,
of
indeed.
September 8th. So please, if you have a name for it, hashtag Fifth Mascot, tweet it to us, and if we use your title, Mr. Satin will come mow your lawn.
Yes, he
Oh
will.
yeah, in the satin gear.
Yeah, that's
Mr. Satin,
right. In the satin gear.
it's been a real
Oh, it's been a
pleasure.
pleasure. Oh
DJ,
man,
it's been a
Absolutely
real
can.
pleasure. The show is the
DJ,
Fifth Mascot.
bet.
All of these episodes are downloadable on WCPO.com. And stay tuned for this brand new, soon-to-be named Bengals WCPO.com
The
show.
big question mark.
it's gonna be massive.